whiskey lovers, and welcome to another one of Mark's Whiskey Ramblings. It's a bit of a special rambling because we're trying a very exclusive release today. I'm not sure if you guys can see this. I've just poured me a sample of this one, Rosebank. The Rosebank, 30 years old, 1990, an official release just out. What makes it special? Well, Rosebank is, as you know, a lost legend, or at least it will be a lost legend until sometime next year, maybe, because the distillery is about to be reopened. But let's start at the beginning. In 1798, it was James Rankine who opened the company, but as a malting, the Rankine maltings. You can find it halfway between Glasgow and Edinburgh, along the Forth Clyde Canal. Anyway, it only turned distillery in 1840, and it didn't. It took until 1894 until James Rankine actually registered the Rosebank Distillery Limited Company. There you have it. The whiskey is triple distilled, just like my favorite Lowlander, but nevertheless, it was considered a top malt in its time. It was considered to be the king of the Lowlands until it got closed in 1993. How did that come about? Well, the canal was a bit... pollution was there, so it was no longer a tourist attraction. And then in the 80s, Diageo, the then owner, they launched the classic malts. I'm sure you're aware of the classic malts. And to represent the Lowlands, they considered Rosebank, but eventually they opted for Glenkinchie, sealing the fate of the latter. And so in 1993, the king of the Lowlands closed. And for a time, it looked like they would never reopen because, well, the buildings were sold to British Waterways and to West Point Homes. They even put in a beefeater restaurant, for crying out loud. But anyway, so it was sold, apartments were built, whatnot, whatever. And the first attempt to revive the Rosebank distillery, it failed. Diageo was unwilling to sell the name, to sell the buildings and whatnot. They did not want Rosebank to be resuscitated. So the guys who tried that, disappointed. They started their own distillery, Falkirk Distillery, which, if I'm not mistaken, is not yet operational. And oh my God, did I just do that? Oh, look at that. Where was I? Anyway, fast forward to 2009, and the copper that is still in the distillery building gets stolen. So the fans, they're like, Rosebank will never be revived. But then, 2017, Ian MacLeod Distillers to the rescue. In 2017, Ian MacLeod, which we know mostly from Glengoyne, from Tamdhu distilleries, and we also have quite a few of their own malts and blends and whatnot. They've got a whole panoply of stuff that they put out, but mostly we know them as whiskey aficionados for Glengoyne and Tamdhu. They bought the remaining stocks and they bought back the buildings, and they are now renovating things. Here is the picture of that. There you go. So that's the image we all know from Rosebank, but nowadays it looks like this because renovations are underway. And if Russell and his team achieve what they want to achieve, this is going to be the result. This is what Rosebank will look like once it has been re-established, once it has been reopened. And the plan is to triple distill again. The plan is to use worm tubs to recreate that spirit that we love so much and that we've come to appreciate as the king of the Lowlands. Now, in the run-up to the reopening of the distillery, they plan to release some Rosebank whiskey to keep it on your radar, right? But of course, these are old stocks. And if you consider the fact that the original Rosebank was closed in 1993, then this is already old stock. This is from 1990, matured for 30 years, and it has just been released by Ian MacLeod under the Rosebank 30 years old 1990 release 1. Now that says a lot, release 1, that means there's going to be more releases. This is a very expensive bottle. There's no two ways about it. This is I've seen prices between 1,800 euros and 2,400 euros, so quite expensive, which is why I will not be opening my bottle just yet. But I was lucky enough to get a sample. Thank you, Ian MacLeod Distillers. You know, to be completely open and transparent here, I got this sample from Ian MacLeod directly. And that's the one I will try today. So in my glass is what's inside this beautiful bottle. And will you look at that packaging? Is that amazing or what? But what we want to talk about, of course, is what's inside. The Rosebank 30 years old, 1990. A beautiful full golden color. And it is bottled at 48.6% ABV. Wow. Finally, I can hear you thinking this all the way across hyperspace. Mark, stop talking, start drinking. You are absolutely right. On the nose. Ah, yes. Ah, it's very summery. And again, lots of citrus fruit here. It's very lively and fresh on lime and pomelo. But also some deep fruity notes like nectarines and peach. Even a hint of papaya and maybe even some grapefruit. But this is very lively and very, very fresh, but mostly elegant. Elegant is the way. This is the type of dram that Dorian Gray would have in his cabinet, I'm sure. Wow, on the palate. Mmm. 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 Oily, softly seasoned, a bit spicy, but not much. There's even a hint of wood smoke in there. But again, it's all about elegance, fruitiness, accessibility. Oh, this is good. Again, all those citrus fruits that I mentioned that I get on the nose as well. But here as well, I get nectarines and some apples, some white fruit, some orange zest. Some freshly cut grass. Oh, this is good. Typical Rosebank, but at a very high level on the finish. Medium long finish. And it's in that finish that I get my first bitter note, as if biting down on the pit of a grapefruit. But that just makes this all the more balanced and gives it quite some depth. Oh my God, what a beautiful, beautiful whiskey this is. It's unfortunate that it's so expensive because this should go on your Christmas list if you can afford it. Don't hesitate, you will not be disappointed. This is the King of the Lowlands. This is, after 30 years, so fresh and lively. That's quite amazing. Quite amazing. And it is spirit driven, as we are used to from Rosebank. This is a composition of 38% refill hogsheads, bourbon casks, and then 62% refill sherry casks, mostly Oloroso. So this is, but you can tell that it's refill casks because this is spirit driven and it is absolutely amazing. Especially the nose is out of this world. Well, the king is dead. Long live the king. And that's all for this Whiskey Rambling, and I hope to see you at one of Mark's Whiskey Ramblings real soon. And until then, may the ball be with you. Bye-bye.